What's going on, Facebook world? Coach Smith coming to you here from Pure Bowling in Ephrata, Pennsylvania. And we are here again for another edition of Talk About It Tuesday. Going to give everybody a few minutes to jump on the feed here. And as always, as you come into the room, go ahead, hit up those comment sections, drop me a line, make sure and let me know that you can hear me loud and clear. And just some names so I know who's on the feed and we can start interacting with one another. As you're coming on, this week we're going to be reviewing the Hammer Infamous, which is a brand new release from the Hammer brand, which is going to feature a brand new core and a base cover stock that's been used in the past. But it makes for a very interesting ball motion that's quite different than anything we've released here in recent years. So, Rick Roll, what's going on, man? Thank you for giving me the good sound check on there. Hope you're doing well today. Hope you bowled okay last night. Hopefully a little better than I did. Wasn't what we would call a very stellar night, if you will. We got a bunch that are actually popping into the room here. So who else do we have on the feed here tonight? Drop by that comment section. Let me know who's in here. Right now, we are at the center, wrapped up pretty much for the day. Another absolutely crazy day at the shop. Wouldn't want it any other way. And my other half, Carrie, is actually on the lanes right now. You might hear it in the background a little better. And she's actually getting some work in. She's actually throwing the Infamous right now. Probably won't get a sneak peek on that anytime today, but we will be throwing it on Thursday. All right. So, I mean, I got Rick that's commenting on here. I know there's a bunch of other ones on here. Pop in, say hello. But one of the things we usually like to do is if there is a release video, we essentially like to go on and kind of give an introduction of the ball before we get into talking to it. What's up, Mark? Hey, Willow. How are you? This one's for you, Willow. Willow's watching with Mark, her dad. Willow is a big bowling fan and fan of Pure Bowling here. So, Willow, we miss you. Haven't seen you for a while. But we like to show the intro videos because I think they're really good. And the cool thing about this one is one of our closest friends, Shannon O'Keefe, and our other friend, Taylor Bailey, are the ones that actually did the video this time around. So I'm going to pop on over to the split screen here, and I'm going to share it up with you. Let me get this one going and give you kind of a introduction. Sorry, I got the wrong one there.
Hi, Hammerheads. I'm Shannon O'Keefe, and I'm here to introduce the new solid benchmark ball, Infamous. The Infamous features a brand new symmetrical core design with an RG of 2.559 and differential of 0.52. This combination of medium RG and high differential creates an easy-to-control ball motion with devastating continuation through the pins. With the NV Solid reactive cover stock finished at 500, 1000, 2000 SIA Air, the Infamous will be a tried and true performer on medium to heavy oil conditions. With DOT, layouts for the Infamous are simple and straightforward. Never compromise on the exact layout you need with this real anywhere technology. The Infamous is available in 12 through 16 pounds. That's all today about the Infamous. Contact your local pro shop about getting one for your arsenal. For more information about the Infamous and other Hammer products, follow us on our social media pages and hammerbowling.com.
All right, so we'll take that one off the feed there, but very well done video from Hammer. Obviously, Shannon and Tay, as we call her, were up in the Muskegon area and shot the video. And as you can see, it is a much different motion than what we've seen in the couple of the last releases that we've had. We've had a very popular Scorpion that just released, and the Web Pearl. And this Infamous, being a price point basically higher than that, or a new price point, if you will, kind of fits a void where, as the original Fugitive kind of weighed its way out of the line, this one is going to quickly step in there and take care of that hole that we had in the arsenal. So, first thing for me was overall was basically the shelf appeal of the ball. So, it is dull in nature, as you heard Tay in the video say 500, 1000, 2000 CA air. It looks very dull in nature, but it's a very good contrast to colors with the red, and then the way that the gray actually pops through. Sometimes when I get for myself, when I get the super multicolored bowling balls, I get a little tentative with them, worried that I'm going to be able to see them. I'd be honest with you that I struggled with the original Redemption with that bright orange color. Just always made it to my eye feel like I wasn't rolling the ball properly just because of the color scheme. But this one has enough deeper colors that it doesn't really, when you throw it down the lane, it doesn't hurt for the eye to match up on it. It's obviously bright, the red pops that's in it. But very, very easy to read off the break point, and as it's going through and seeing it go through the transition from the skid, hook to roll. And that's important for any player to be able to read their ball motion. That way we're making proper adjustments with the ball before we're going into the bag and obviously trying to reach in and make a ball change. So I know a couple of the questions, I had a couple that were fired through, and actually Brett just kind of put this up here. So, I'll throw it up on the screen here. And he's basically asking, how would you compare it, to the Scorpion? And the easiest way for me, I was just actually down the lanes before we got started, and I was talking with Carrie a little bit. And, when you go in for the Infamous, okay, if you remember back to the video, it's 2.559 052. All right. And then when you look at the Scorpion, if we're going at numbers alone, the Scorpion is 2.52 with 0.043. So the overall, the RG is actually a little lower in the Scorpion, and the differential is a little lower. And you can immediately say, well, it doesn't, the ball's weaker, Scorpion's weaker. It's not necessarily weaker. You got to remember the Scorpion has a hybrid cover stock, where this ball has a multi-density core that's wrapped in an NV solid cover stock. So this Infamous is going to have a little more traction a little earlier on the lane for most individuals when you compare it to Scorpion. The Scorpion, even though the RG is slightly lower, is actually going to get down the lane a little further. Now, the diff being higher on the Infamous, when the Infamous encounters friction, it has a nice distinct move, but it's more continuous, where the Scorpion is going to be a little quicker, but overall not quite as much off the spot. So if you're looking for a complement and you're adding into the bag, it's a good transition piece. So, for instance, if you're throwing the Infamous and you have the Scorpion in your bag, the Scorpion is probably going to be your move off of the Infamous. So as you move left with the Infamous and it becomes maybe a little too early or a little too much down lane, the Scorpion may be able to give you a little more distance with the hybrid cover stock, and then being a little weaker overall down lane. So it should give you a really good 1-2 combo. And so you feel the need to, whether you got to get into a Pearl or something afterwards. But a good question there, Brett. But I know you love the Scorpion, my friend. So, the Infamous is going to be a good one that's going to complement it very easily. And as we talk about on the programs all the time, I'm a very big proponent of, when you're throwing brands, and we have 7 of them, we talk about this all the time. I myself try to drill a lot of the hammer balls to have my full arsenal, and then I drill, a couple one-offs from the other brands that I think are really special. But when we stay within the brands, it's a lot easier to build arsenals. So good question on that. Let's see here. Juan, what do you got up here? Juan, the cover makes up for it along with the new core design. I'm not really sure exactly what you meant by the comment. I don't know if you mean making up for the multicolors that are in the ball, if that's what you're referring to. But yeah, it's the cover rules the roost too. The cover's very strong on the ball. The dual density is the multi-density is very attractive to the eye. So one of the things, Dom, and I'll put this up here, and it's a really good question. He goes, what is the advantage of the multi-density core with that disc on the bottom as compared to something that doesn't? And, understanding what they mean by the multi-density core is, I'll try to put a shape, see if I can get an image up here while I'm messing around in the background. But the core itself is kind of unique because it has basically a density on the bottom, which is kind of like a puck almost on the bottom. And then they have a flip block that's on the top of the core of the body. And really what it does, it's similar to what we saw in the Obsession line, where it gives you a little more motion on the back end of the lane. But this one actually has 4 densities if you count in the dot technology and the carbon fiber outer. And it makes for a unique motion. So when you get the densities like that, you can kind of give it a little projection. You can give it a little more flip down lane, because remember, as the ball is going down the lane, essentially your axis is migrating on the bowling ball as well, and it helps to pull it over with the puck that's actually on the bottom end. So it's a good question on that, Dom. I mean, is it to say that the other ones are not comparable? This is far superior? No, but it's another way that we can refine ball motion without the use of weight holes. I think is the best reasoning for trying to go back to some of the roots that, the Hammer brands, and I hate to use the old EBI brands because it doesn't exist anymore, but going into your Ebonites and your Columbias and your balls like that, that utilize these dual densities for years and were very successful with them. Brett. Yep. I mean, Brett, yep. Answer your question there with the Scorpion. I actually had a chance. I threw this for a little bit last night. Now, at the end of the day, I did not bowl very well last night. I didn't throw the bowling ball poorly. Just got to get a right combination now that league started back up. I do not bowl league in the summertime. It's pretty much just tournament season for us. So we don't really see the 20-to-1 ratios and the craziness with the cliffs and stuff too much. Now, we joked around in the PBA level this year. A lot of stuff was cliffed at 8-to-1 and 7-to-1, but it's still not as cliffed as the house shots are that we bowl in each and every week. So it's going to take a few weeks to get back what I kind of refer to as the league swing, which is really focusing on getting the ball going right quickly if you're going to get in to utilize the kitty litter, as my friend Ryan Schaefer would call it, out to the right side of lane, or getting a ball that you can play into kitty litter and get it to stop, but also get it to hit at the same time. So it's a hard one, even for somebody like myself who drills bowling balls for a living and prides myself on being able to give players any ball motion they could ever dream of. I'm 2 weeks in and I'm still searching. So, it happens, and it's unique because it's going to affect everybody differently based on their ball roll. But when we get it figured out, we're going to start putting up some pretty big scores. But, I tried the Infamous a little bit yesterday, and just, for me, not enough volume to match my ball roll. But it is going to see some heavy playing time for myself, especially when we get into patterns that are a little lower in ratio. And, even maybe a little flatter. I'm not going to use this one where there's a puddle and I got to get it going right quick. It kind of is counterproductive for what I would be using on those. But it's going to be one of the balls that's going to come out of the bag early. Okay, so I use it in reference. For instance, I use the Fugitive a lot, was kind of a benchmark piece. And I use the Scorpion a lot early now, things like GD4s. I tend to go with benchmark things like the Symmetrics that got a little bit of teeth to them early on to get a lane read, and then get off of them and go base my ball motion on if I need it to be a little longer down lane or if it needs to be a little closer to me at the foul line. So, but the awesome thing is, we have this release here, and one we haven't talked about yet, which is the Gold Obsession Tour, which is probably the talk for next week. And we're really putting out a lot of amazing products that are complementing each other very, very well. For here at the shop, people ask all the time, are these going to be hard to get? I will tell you, I have a bunch of them coming in. So I will have them available on the 24th when they do release. But I do encourage you to, if you have the opportunity, to put the pre-order in on them so you kind of secure yours for the release date. So fire away any additional questions you may have. We're about 50 minutes in the feed, and as long when I don't have a guest on, I don't stay on too long. But we're getting to the time of the year where we're going to be able to start getting some of our friends from the brands of Brunswick to actually hop on here and kind of collaborate back and forth and kind of talk through some of the releases as they come out. But what else do we got out there, Facebook land? We got about 30 of you left on the feed right now. I'd love to answer any questions you may have, any comparisons, any other things that you are out of curiosity you want answered about the ball. And we'll go from there. If not, we'll cut it off here in a few minutes, and there will definitely be a segment on Thursday at minimum. We'll have at least carry on. I did invite a couple other local staffers from the brands of Brunswick. If they have these balls drilled up, they are welcome to come here and join us anytime to showcase these. So maybe we'll get an extra person or two that'll come in and kind of throw bowling balls down the lane with us. But as we're on the feed here and I'm looking down, I can tell you Carrie's been striking a lot with the bowling ball here. She's bowling on something that's it isn't fresh from the day, so it's a little bit of a leftover. And for her, she's pretty far left, and she actually just went through a fit change. Another thing we talk on the program about here all the time. Doesn't matter what skill level you're at. Doesn't matter how long you've been bowling. Doesn't matter if you think you've used the same fit for the last 10 years. When you essentially get to a point where you feel like it changes in order, or flexibility is starting to change just a little bit. It's an important time to come in here and tinker a little bit. And we came up with a change, a small one with the span and some major pitch changes. And she's really enjoying it right now. And the cool thing, or the thing that you watch with it is when you go through something like that, she goes between the old fit and a new fit, and she can immediately feel the benefits of the change. So that's a very important thing. So if you're listening to the feed, doesn't matter how long you've been in it. Doesn't hurt to have me come into the shop here and have me take a peek at it. Let's see, Jonathan, what do we got here? How does the Obsession Tour compare to the GB4? Jonathan, just so I'm clear to answer that, are you asking about the original Obsession Tour, or are you asking about the Pearl that was just announced? I'm assuming the original. And if you mean the original obviously is an ASIM with a tour cover on it. A little weaker overall intermediate diff on that, but that ball is a lot cleaner than a GB4. A GB4, especially with the red pigment in it, is quite a bit earlier, symmetric in core. So GB4 is something that we're going to play, the fronts to the mids a little bit more. The tour cover on that Obsession Tour is really good for blending out wet dry, or I like it a lot even too, when I feel like I got to get left and I don't want to use the really big asymmetric cores for down lane motion, but I want to play the body a little more. I like the Obsession Tour. GB4 is going to be something when I'm playing a little more up the lane, just trying to get traction, kind of control the pocket a little bit. And, I think it's a good all-around ball, more of a benchmark. Obsession Tour, though, I'll tell you what, though, it is a really impressive ball because with the tour cover and how smooth and predictable it is, I use it on a lot, man. I use it when they're hooking. I use it when they're a little tighter, kind of as a feeler. But for each person's ball roll, it's a little different. So even with the lower, I know you're asking about that. Even with the lower diff on the tour, the cover is still really strong. It's strong, yes, when you first get it. It will chirp, similar to like if you went back and you had an original Web Tour, Hopkinsville made or Web Tour hybrid. Obviously, when you get the ball out of the box, they tend to chirp. They tend to feel a little early at first. But as soon as you get saturation, you get oil into the cover, and it starts to kind of, trap it in. The Obsession Tour cover will lane shine pretty quickly. It will mellow it out, and just small little tweaks on the cover of the ball, I would say to keep after it, just to keep that thing as smooth as possible. Otherwise, you'll when it lane shines quickly, you'll get a lot more length out of it, and it gets a little sharper off the spot. That's not necessarily what we're looking for all the time when we're using a tour cover. We're looking for predictability. Let's see, what do we got here? One, drilled the same as the Fugitive Solid. I found the Infamous went longer, but still needs some volume on the 40-foot 8-to-1 I tested on. So, yeah, it makes sense. The cover, that MV Solid cover is a very strong cover. And, when you look at the, being in that it's a medium RG ball and a very high differential of a ball, it's a strong symmetric bowling ball. So, it's got a ton of traction, but I think the unique thing about it and just the combo is even though it's dull in nature, it didn't struggle to get through the front part of the lane, even when, the volume was a little bit lower. But I agree with you that I think, I want to get a true test of it when we start to bowl in something that's got a little more, something around, 27, 28, 29 mils in the front part and see what this thing really does. Michael, what are your expectations for the Obsession Tour Pearl? Sorry. So I have drilled a few of them for staffers so far, and the ones that I've thrown it so far, it meets my expectations because, I think it gives us another option where it is another option with a tour cover that's even a little more cleaner than the original, a little quicker off friction, but it still has predictability. I always say these things because I'm always skeptical with gold balls. Okay. And I'll be honest with you. I think the shelf appeal is awesome, but I look back into some previous gold ball releases and I cringe a little bit because they seem to be hit or miss. Obviously if we go over to, and I don't mind talking about it, if you go into like a Gold IQ, that ball was super special. That was, that ball was the ball for, a couple years. And, we've kind of dabbled in it. There was a Gold Widow out. If you go on the Brunswick side, there was a Kingpin that was gold in nature. And so, with color and pigment and being kind of picky on it, I was worried that the ball might be a little too clean, which is what I saw with some of those pieces. But this is not doing that. The base additives that is in the tour cover are making this ball still read the body of the lane, but only give us a little more distance and a little more quickness off the friction. It isn't the point where this gold ball is shooting through the break point and then giving that over-under, kind of feel down lane for my ball roll. So, I always felt like I had to hit those with an exuberant amount of surface to get them to do the things that I wanted to see them do. So for me, Michael, I haven't drilled it yet, believe it or not. I really do put my customers first. So I drill balls here and there as I can for myself. Now, if I'm getting ready for a bigger tournament or something, and I need a couple fresh covers, I'll come in early and do them for myself. But, just for league and stuff, everybody else gets taken care of first, including, Carrie and my other staffers and stuff like that. So I do intend to get holes in this one this week too, because I want to get some lane time on it before the regional coming up in Frederick, not this weekend, but the following. And definitely want to see this one in the bag as well. So pretty exciting. I'm excited to do the feed on it next week too. Paul Moore, how does the Obsession Tour Pearl compare to the Hammer Web MB? I can give you a better comparison next week, Paul, but I'm going to tell you right off the bat, no matter what, this Obsession Tour Pearl is not going to be as clean as that MB. That MB is super, super, super clean. For me personally, again, there's a time to be honest with everything, and I think it's important because when we're setting players up for bowling balls and we're going through arsenals and things like that, one ball that's great for somebody else. And for instance, Paul, I think that Web MB is amazing for you, right? It's a good matchup for your game. For me, that thing hooks in the ball return. And when I do get it to see the lane correctly, I wrap 10 with it all day long. No matter how much surface I put on it, it's just a little too clean for my ball roll. Now, between the two, I expect to see the Obsession Tour Pearl definitely be a little earlier and a lot more responsive in the mids. And I think it's going to be a little better through the pins, but it's definitely not going to be as quick when it sees friction as well, because it's a tour cover with a lower differential on it as well. So, and that MB, if you remember, that was a modified core too. That was basically a stretched out core in that MB. that you saw in like the Web Tour Hybrid, which was a very popular core. So the numbers on it on that one as well isn't a super strong asymmetrical by any means. It's just kind of stretched out and elongated a little bit, but got to think the gold one's going to be a little earlier. Yeah, we don't see a lot of volume in central Pennsylvania either here, Wad. So I feel your pain. What else we got here? The Gold Kingpin Special Edition was really clean, had some pop. Yeah, it did. It just, again, didn't match my eye. It's other ones. So let's see, Michael, interesting. Thanks for thinking of us customers first. Keep us on the performance of the Tour Pro when you get your hands on it. If I get my hands on it, let's see. You mean this one? I have them right here. So I have them. I just got to put holes in them, right? We have a bunch of them in here. So we'll be ready to go on the 24th when they come out. All right. Let's see. Larry, I have a Black Widow Gold, and it's been great for me. It's like a tank. Wish they'd bring it back. I mean, obviously, the Black Widow core is still around. And I say Black Widow core. The gas mask core is still around. It's still been used. I don't think that we're going to see the Widow nameplate go away. I mean, obviously, when Brunswick's first go around with the gas mask core and the Widow placard was a home run. I mean, the Black Widow 2.0 is still a fantastic ball. It is still one of the highest selling balls going around. That ball's special. I don't think that we're going to see the Widow go away. I don't know if we're going to see another Widow that's in gold. I mean, but I got to think we'll see something. Be interested to see what cover combo was in that. I honestly don't remember the exact cover that was on the Black Widow Gold. It was probably one of the CFI covers. It was one of the later ones at the end of the Widow days down at Hopkinsville. So I'm assuming it was a carbon infused with something in it, but I don't remember. There's so many different variables and variations of that core. How does Carrie like the way it rolls for her? Well, she's actually down on lane 3 right now, and she's listening to the feed, so she probably can see the comments. So she's giving me a thumbs up right now that it rolls very well. Christine Weber, I found my MB to be very conditional. Me too, Christine. Same thing. And again, not every one of them is going to be great, but I'll tell you what, there are people that make that ball look absolutely phenomenal. I joke around all the time, when we look back and, there's been balls through the years and in all the brands across, bowling where some people that thought balls were absolutely awful were great. I look back to when the Melee first came out, the red Melee, Brunswick Melee. It wasn't super popular by any means. That ball was in my bag for the better part of 4 years because the ball just was – it hooked on ice for me. It didn't matter what it was. It was the ball in my bag that I used to read absolutely every pattern that was there. So, it's condition specific. Yeah. But for somebody else, it may be the one that they use full time and can't take it out of their hands. So pretty good. We're due for a pearl, by the way. Larry, are you talking about a pearl Widow? Be a pearl somewhere. Mr. Fury, look at this. Look, I'm not the only one. All right, so our friend John Fury, Fury's Solid 10 Pro Shop, Hal, New Jersey, one of our good friends and national staffer for Radical Bowling, jumping on the feed. His is still blank as well. John's in a very similar situation where, super busy shop. Sometimes you guys think all we do is drill for ourselves and we have every ball in the market, but guess what? We show up to tournaments with stuff we were using the last time because we just ran out of time for ourselves. But John just gave a good one here too. Primo Solid, Thug Life. Those were balls that he loved and, weren't 100% popular to tons of people, but they rolled absolutely phenomenal for John and they matched it with his ball roll. So again, doesn't matter how many of these feeds we do, how much we talk about what balls do for us and what they can do for you. It's important to have that baseline conversation with your pro shop operator. And I know I say this till I'm blue in the face, but you got to remember, folks, if you're on the feed here, it is so critical that you're working with a pro shop operator that's going to get you out in the lanes, and they're going to take the necessary measurements. And I don't mean just your PAP. I mean, it is so critical to match up a bowling ball to your tilt, your axis rotation, and how you deliver the ball. On top of it, optimizing your ball fit to allow you to make the cleanest shots that you possibly can each and every time. So, just something to keep in the back of your mind, just to get the most out of your stuff. All right. Couple other ones on here. Juan just said, I think you'll like the Obsession Pro. You got holes in it. I'm sure I will. I'll be honest with you, Juan. I mean, my favorite ball in my bag is the Obsession Tour. Absolutely, hands down, my favorite ball, my go-to ball. Again, it's just one of those, and the colors, some people think it's ugly. I think it's great. It's just a darker colored bowling ball, solid one color, and give me those all day long, my friend. Michael, you will definitely get my input. We'll definitely we'll do the gold ball next week. Either the gold ball next week, or we may do a Polaris next week. I'm not sure. I got a couple of people asking to see the Ebonite Polaris go down the lane. That ball is strong. So, all right, folks, I'll tell you what. We are at the 31-minute mark. I love talking. I don't mind answering questions. But just an introduction to it. I love the interaction and people jumping on and asking on the feed. But pretty much as always, just remember, if you have any questions that come up after the feed is over, try your best just to reach out to me on either the shop page or you can, if you have me directly on Facebook, feel free to add me on there. I'll answer any questions I can to the best of my ability for you. We run an extremely busy center here in shop, and sometimes I can't get back to you right away, but I will do my best to answer each and every question that's out there. One other thing, I didn't mention at the beginning of the program, which I think was absolutely awesome this past weekend. We got to host our first youth clinic here. We did 100% free youth clinic here at the center at our little training facility. And we had 12 amazing kids. Now, we did cap it. We wanted to make sure there wasn't too many people here at one time, and so they got the attention. But we had 12 amazing kids that, got to learn a little bit about bowling and a bunch of the aspects and work with some of the coaches here. And we just love giving back, just like these segments here. And so when we say, Carrie, myself, and the rest of my staff and the members like to give back to the community and the players, we just want to see the sport grow. So again, if you have questions, you have comments, reach out to us. We are here to help you in any which way that we can. We're here to grow the sport. We're not here to work against others. So fire those away. By all means, we ask you, Hammer sponsors us and the Brands of Brunswick. So, we support them in return. So by all means, buy the Brands of Brunswick bowling balls. And reach out to us here at Pure Bowling. But I'm going to cut it off for the night, folks. So enjoy the rest of your night. Continue to support bowling. Hope I will see you guys on the lanes. And if you're bowling league tonight, finish up strong. And we'll see everybody soon. Don't forget, turn in Thursday. Throw it Thursday. We'll have this one going down the lane. Take care now.